daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up out, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the Dfs Bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. Dfs Sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. Dfs Bachelor, he the new leader, yeah.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host of Dfs Bachelor, and it's a new look for our first look NFL video. We're bringing in our boy Jackpot DFS. This is my boy Doug, and I'm going to introduce him fully here in just a moment. I'm super excited to have him here. First things first, a big thank you to everyone who makes us a part of your day. Subscribing to the channel, liking the video, which helps more than you know. Very, very important, so we appreciate that. All the kind words, the comments, being a part of the giveaways, etc. A big thank you and a big cheers to you all. Yes, I'm running the Red Solo Cup right now. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below if you're so inclined to do so. We really appreciate that. NBA, NFL, MLB, we're changing things up as we go along, and we're finding great minds to join the show. So many of you may be asking, hey, who's Jackpot DFS? Well, Doug, that's what I call him, is Doug, and he's going to be mad at me for that, but I'm going to do it anyways. He has been part of my private chat for, 3 years now? Almost 3 years. And all Doug does is win when I lose, so he has a great perspective. And he has a new YouTube channel out where he gives out his favorite plays, so make sure you check that out over on YouTube. We'll have a link to that channel in the video description below. Doug, how you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Oh, man, so good. Lots of work. Drinking up a little bit. A big shout out to my son, by the way, for making the show look so beautiful, right? With all the stuff. I love all of that. Again, for you new subscribers, and just for those of you who are just getting back into the NFL motion, we do a $50 PayPal giveaway. And that is brought to you by my guys at Tax Relief Advocates. I am telling you, I had so much debt that wasn't even mine. It was my ex-wife's. And they took care of that for me. You call them at 1-800-411-9633. Hit them up. They're going to sort that out. And how you qualify is liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment in the comment section. As usual, you can get access to my player pool, cheat sheets, top wide receiver cornerback matchups, all that stuff at Draft Dashboard. You can click that link in the video description below. You can try it for 30 days for $1. Don't forget to check out my friends over there at Overlay DFS, overlaydfs.com. It's a lot of fun. And we're live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday morning over at Sportsbook Review. That link is down there. So make sure you click that arrow down. Check out the video description. I think I'm done with all the bullshit promotions. Let's get into our first pick. So we learned a lot from week one. Well, what we think was a lot from week one, right? So as we jump into week two, right now, what's standing out to you?
For me, it's how much Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers put up. I mean, being the veteran quarterbacks of the league, it's kind of shocking to see them throw up some big numbers. And Cam Newton apparently is back. Yeah. I think he'll have a tougher matchup going up against the Seahawks this week, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So should we just start at quarterback right now?
Sure.
So you've watched a lot of the shows. Did I forget any promotions? Is there something I forgot?
I don't believe so.
I believe you. I believe him. I'm telling you. So you're seeing a man in Doug, and you're gonna trust his voice. And let me tell you, he is a smart guy, and he knows how to construct lineups. So that's why we're really excited to have him on the show, and I think we're gonna do this every week, right? And
Yes, sir.
we're gonna get you some better lighting and a better camera so you don't look like the dog of death. Uh,
Right.
this is
Ghost or the
this,
ghost haunts the house, right?
this is one of my buddies. I'm telling you guys right now, this is not a joke. He makes great lineups. This guy wins, so that's why I would never put someone on the show that doesn't win. Doug wins. I love this guy, and he's been a big supporter of mine. So I'm really excited for this. So let's go to quarterback, and I'm looking at this sort of for the first time. Lamar Jackson against Houston, 8-2 on Draftkings, 9-5 on Fanduel. Can we justify paying up for a guy like Lamar Jackson?
I think it's really pricey. I think this week with the Packers matchup, and then you have with the explosion that you had from Aaron Rodgers last week, and then you got Josh Allen going up against Miami. You saw what Cam Newton did to him, did to them this past weekend. So why not save a little money and go with a guy like Aaron Rodgers or a guy like Josh Allen this week?
Yeah, I love that. I love Josh Allen, and if you look at last year, Josh Allen put up what, a 34 and a 21 in DraftKings points. The
Oh, yeah,
rushing upside.
sure.
My one concern will be I do think that Miami secondary is better, adding Byron Jones from Dallas.
Sure.
So, like I know Cam played well, and he was pretty efficient in the passing game. What he threw for 155 yards, 15 to 19 passing. It was more the running game,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, you're getting that rushing upside for Josh Allen. So I am in on that. Are there any other quarterbacks, like when we're looking at this first look, that you like?
I
This,
mean, for me, I was looking at. I don't know. I mean, Patrick Mahomes seems like he's going to do it every week. He's kind of more of a safer bet. Uh, but for me, I think the prices are kind of more competitive now.
yeah,
And I'm not going to lean. I learned my lesson from leaning a little bit on Tom Brady. I over expecting Tom Brady to be Tom Brady, and obviously he was a letdown this week. And Arians obviously gotten his, made it known that he was upset about how he played. So
yeah.
maybe against Carolina next week, looks like Dante Jackson's got hurt. So maybe the secondary is even worse than what it already was, and maybe Tom Brady bounces back.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I think he does. And he still put up a 23 or something like that. It wasn't awful,
yeah,
and the volume's going to be there. And again, we saw Derek Carr light up the Carolina secondary. So if
yeah,
Derek Carr can do it, and Tom Brady's 43 years old, so we can ridicule him all you want. I'm 38. I used to be a quarterback back in high school. I go play those Thanksgiving Day games once a year. I can't move my arm for 6 weeks. So, as much as I've bashed on Tom Brady his entire career, I
right.
think it takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there at 43 years old.
Some
And
of
I,
that avocado ice cream, man, is what it is. You need to,
yeah,
yeah, that's what it is.
yeah, no, and the matchup's going to be there. The Carolina secondary is terrible. The
Yeah,
defense is going to be terrible. I think you
yeah.
take the over on this game. I think the opening line is 49. I think you take the opening line, but I think Tom Brady's a good play. Are there any other quarterbacks you're looking at right now, maybe in that value range down at the bottom?
Um, Looking at it, I mean, it's hard to trust. It's hard to trust some of these other guys. I mean, we saw how bad Haskins was with Washington. I mean, I guess he kind of picked it up in the back end of the game.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess you could take a stab with like a Sam Darnold or I mean, maybe Daniel Jones. Kind of risky. I mean, if you're looking for more of a risk, low risk, high reward kind of thing, I guess one of those guys would be if you're playing multiple lines, take a stab at it. I wouldn't advise it, just me personally, but I think this week you stick with a short bet with a Rogers who's
Yeah.
only 6,900, and he's going to give you probably a good edge as far as putting the numbers out there against a weak defense this week, and who knows if Aaron Rodgers goes out there and throws for another 400 yards or something crazy. He may be up there in the $8,000 range here shortly. So pay for
Sure.
this when you can. So
Sure. Before I move on to running backs, I have one question, and it's
sure.
going to be about my guy that helped me in DFS last week. I got lucky. He bailed me out in the second half against a bad Detroit secondary. Mitchell Trubisky against that Giant secondary. Am I crazy for wanting to go there at 5,500 DraftKings, 7-2 on Fanduel? Should I go there again? What do you think?
I think it's risky. I don't know. I'm not a big Trubisky guy. I think it's only a matter of time before he has a bad game and Foles comes in the game. But um, who knows? I mean, I guess anything's possible. And I didn't believe necessarily that he'd have a decent day. But he pulled one out of his hat, and
Yes,
came
he
back
did.
in the second half and proved the doubters wrong. So who says it can't happen again?
Yeah, no, and I agree. So if I'm looking, just like me personally, before we go to running backs, and I know I said we'd go there. So if I'm looking at these guys 6K and below on DraftKings, right?
Sure.
So if I'm looking at guys like Bridgewater against Tampa Bay, a very vulnerable secondary. Drew Brees didn't look great, but still the weakness of that defense is the secondary. So we got Bridgewater against Tampa Bay, Jared Goff against the Eagles secondary that didn't seem like if Dwayne Haskins can score on you, anybody can score on you. I was disappointed in
Sure.
that. Trubisky, Jimmy Garoppolo against the Jets. Where are you leaning in terms of low priced quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, I'm a big Panthers fan as it is, so I'm a little bit
Right.
biased. I'm a
Sure.
believer, Teddy Bridgewater, that he's going to produce this season and he's going to surprise some people. The only thing that really kind of bothers me with Tampa is they were like the only team in the NFL last year that could stop C-Mac.
Right.
And they put the pressure on the Panthers and stop the run game. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Bridgewater. And as you can see, you kind of see that on Sunday. I mean, Tampa still got a defense, run defense, and I think it's week one without preseason. These guys are only going to get better. So they're probably going to be a scary team. And with Teddy this week, I'd like to take a stab at Teddy just because I'm a Teddy and I'm a Carolina Panther fan.
I
So
actually like it. I like that, and I think the Panthers were plus 9.5 in the opening lines. Like jump in
right.
on that now.
Got some new weapons. You saw Robbie Anderson take one to the house for what,
Yeah,
70 yards this week.
yeah,
So
no, no.
uh,
I'm totally in on that. So if we move on to the running back spot, and of course you're going to see this every single week unless he gets injured. Christian McCaffrey is going to be the top priced running back in DFS. Now, Tampa Bay was very, very good against running backs last year. Let's not kid ourselves. The question with Christian McCaffrey is, well, he's going to be involved in the passing game, and then you look at Carolina, and they have so many weapons on the outside with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel, etc. Is it worth paying up for Christian McCaffrey, or what are you looking at early on at running back?
I think this week I was a little bit sad to see. It didn't seem like McCaffrey was getting a lot of balls thrown his way. Maybe that's kind of something that's going to change with the Panthers' offense. We've seen in the past. I mean, this guy's running 20 times a game, catching 10 balls a game. Sometimes, I
Yeah.
mean, maybe that's something that's changing in the Carolina scheme. With uncertainty to pay that high of a price tag, that's something you've got to have hit. I mean, if it doesn't hit, you don't cash. So I think you're better off taking a lower price running back this week against a pretty good Tampa D. Obviously, Tampa knows how to stop McCaffrey, and I wouldn't chance that this week.
Oh, I like that. I think I actually 100% agree. I mean, so if you're playing a cash game, and we talk about this, you're a very good DFS player. And again, I'm not joking about this. How many times have you won when I've lost? It's been over and over and over again. So I'm very grateful where I get to see these different perspectives, because sometimes it's easy to be a guy like me and you're trying to give all the matchups and all these things, and you don't get to think about everything that happens. So cash games probably a good thing, I guess, for McCaffrey. Nice high floor, low ceiling. So if we're talking millionaire maker tournaments, what running backs are standing out for you?
For me, I think you got Kamara. Obviously, showed last week that he's taking the reins over for the Saints. Obviously, he's going to be involved. He may very well be the new McCaffrey this season. He's obviously going to get catches out of the backfield. He's obviously going to be involved in the running game. Last year you kind of saw Latavius Murray kind of get half and half and steal some of the thunder away. But judging off the first game, it seems like Kamara is definitely getting the reins. He just signed an extension, so maybe they're going to make him earn it. And then you had a big injury with the Indianapolis Colts this week. Max out, so you get the rookie Jonathan Taylor, and then Chubb's in a good matchup this week as well.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Chubb and Hunt are a load there for the Browns, but they're in a great matchup this week as well. And we saw Chubb take it. He had like a 200-yard game last season, something nuts with like 3 TDs or something crazy. That against the matchup this week. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I guess if I'm looking at the top tier, I still like Zeke Elliott a lot against Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's a safe play, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be involved in the passing game. Tony Pollard will come in once in a while. Title of the sex tape, hopefully they
Let's
take
hope
him.
he doesn't come in and steal a touchdown away.
Yeah, when you come in, you got to make sure they take a morning after pill. But that's when you're old like me, you don't want too many, young kids. So there we go, and I'll get some thumbs downs for that, but that's fine. But against an Atlanta defense that struggled, like Chris Carson didn't actually run the ball all that well, but he was involved in the passing game, which was a surprise to me. So I like Zeke.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. I look at Derrick Henry against Jacksonville, a 33 and a 12 last year. I think Derrick Henry's a pretty nice play. You mentioned Dalvin Cook, and I think a lot of people took comfort when he re-signed that extension before week 1. The only problem with Dalvin Cook is when he gets tired, they're going to bring in Alexander Madison's the real deal.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're going to bring him in. So I'm probably going to lean towards a guy like Aaron Jones, 7'1", 7'7". He's going to be involved in the passing game. I'm not sure they believe in A.J. Dillon or Jamal Williams all that much.
Any love for Todd Gurley this week?
Oh, God. I can't do the Todd Gurley thing. I just can't do it. And it's a high total, and you want running backs in those high total games. I mean, you always do.
Yeah.
My problem is I don't think he has the explosion. And yes, I think Dallas's defense is certainly depleted now with Leighton Vander Esch out with that neck injury, broken collarbone. I think I prefer Raheem Mostert.
Yeah,
against the Jets.
It's a good matchup this week, right?
Is
how much is Tevin Coleman going to play it without the certainty this week? Are they playing at home this week?
The 49ers are on the road in New York. So you could see more Tevin Coleman. So there is risk there, and I think that's a reasonable question. One guy I want to talk about who was only targeted one fucking time in the passing game. You have a shit quarterback who can barely throw to the outside against the Cincinnati fucking Bengals. You target Austin Eckler one time in the passing game. So his price has gone all the way down to $6,500 on DraftKings, $6,900 on Fanduel. I think Anthony Lynn is a smart coach. I think he looks and says, hey, you know what? We got to get the ball to Austin Eckler. And in a game where they're probably going to be playing from behind, so we'll see less of the rookie from UCLA. I think Austin Eckler is going to be low owned, a high upside, high equity type play. So I like Austin Eckler there. Kenyon Drake's the obvious pick, still at 6K and 6'8" against Washington. I know people are going to say, Washington beat the Eagles, and trust me, I had to eat crow on that. I have to do it all week, by the way, live at SBR over at Sportsbook Review. So I'm having to eat crow all fucking week long because Carson Wentz is a mental fucking midget. So that pisses me off. And then what about a guy like Jonathan Taylor? Now that Marlon Mack is gone, it was Nyheim Hines who got those sort of red zone scores, but the touches were for Jonathan Taylor, especially in those running situations. So I think he's interesting.
Sure.
And
He obviously gets the ball in the backfield as well. So
yeah. I think that's good. The Bills running back situation is pissing me off. I drafted Devin Singletary way too high. I didn't think Zach Moss would be that involved. So Zach Moss turns into one of these value, high upside, scary low floor DFS plays. And then as I look, like I don't think the value is great.
it's not. The only kind of question is Edwards Hilaire. Is he going to be the new thing in for the Chiefs? He looked pretty good in one. How good is this guy going to be?
Yeah.
He's pretty explosive at times with ease. I mean, he was getting past a lot of guys, and he was just running all over them. So, can catch the ball in the backfield as well. So maybe one of those new guys. And the Chiefs have one of those offenses that keep you on your toes. You don't know what's coming next. So,
yeah.
He could be one of those guys that sneak up and grab a lot of value as well. So, and he's one of those guys too that are cheap, relatively cheap right now. And if he keeps putting it together, I mean, he could be one of those guys that jump up in that 75K range.
Yeah.
Weeks,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And if I'm looking again, this is our first look, so we're gonna have a lot of content. Player pools are gonna expand, value players, etc. One guy I'm looking at right now, Benny Snell Jr. James Conner cannot help but get hurt. Unfortunately, I've had to fucking keep James Conner in my keeper league because I got him in the 9th round. So of course you would draft James Conner in the 9th round, but I fucking hate him. I hate having James Conner on my fantasy teams, but Benny Snell Jr. got 19 carries last night. Now they're going up against Denver, right, without Von Miller. 4-5 Draftkings, 4-6 on Fanduel. Are there any other value guys that I'm missing on? Maybe Frank Gore against his old 49er team without Le'Veon Bell.
How about Malcolm Brown?
Oh, I love that. I love that pick.
It looked really good yesterday.
Yes, he did. Well, you're going to see a 3-headed monster, right, with the Rams. So we saw a lot of Cam Akers. We saw a little bit of Darrell Henderson Jr.
Yeah.
But Malcolm Brown's the running back you want, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was. I guess you kind of seen pieces of him when Todd Gurley was there, but he didn't really look that great to me last season when he had opportunities. He didn't take advantage of them. But man, Sunday he looked really good.
Yeah,
he still did some work in the off season because he was putting in work, man.
Yeah. Yes, he was. Are there any other running backs before I go to the wide receivers? And again, before I go to wide receiver, at the end of the week, I'll have all the wide receiver cornerback matchups. I'll have my 10 best and 10 worst posted on Draft Dashboard. You have no idea how long that takes, by the way. That takes so much goddamn time. I am telling you, picking out your wide receiver cornerback matchups is basically giving me gray hair. I'm not joking about that. But we'll have that here on Draft Dashboard. You can click that link, try it for 30 days for $1. But before, so, it's our first look, so I won't have all those. We're going to briefly go over it. Anything else at running back before we move on?
No, I don't see anything else at the moment. So
okay, I like it. So let's go to wide receiver. So as we start week 2, based on what you saw week 1, what do you like at the wide receiver position right now?
I mean, off the top, man. Give me some Adams. I mean, did the guy go off yesterday or what?
Oh.
I mean, excuse me. But the guy just couldn't be stopped. I mean. And they got a great matchup again this week. I mean, I don't know if there's any more sure bet that I want to take and get some of than Devontae Adams this week.
Yeah. Yep. No, I totally agree. And again, the Lions gave up the 4th most fantasy points in the league to opposing wide receivers. Yeah. Justin Coleman just went on IR. Jeff Okudah didn't play week 1, so I guess it's the Desmond Trufant day. I like Devontae Adams is going to be one of these guys, right, where they don't have anyone else to throw to. Yes, it was cute. Marquez Valdez Scantling caught a touchdown. Cute. Marquez Valdez Scantling fucking sucks, right? He fucking sucks, and he sucks all the time. And I'm probably gonna have lineups next week where I stack the Packers and they're gonna burn me. And our girl Christy from our chat, she loves the Packers, and I'm gonna get pissed at her, tell her I hate your favorite team. The Bucks, any team from Wisconsin will fuck you over. The Brewers, the Packers, fucking Bucks, they'll all fuck you over. But I do like that Devontae Adams picks. Anything else at wide receiver that you like?
Obviously, Hopkins was a big shocker too.
Yeah.
I did not expect him to come into the Cardinals uniform and produce like that. But man, he was just. It's every time he threw a pass, it was Hopkins, Hopkins again.
Hopkins,
So
yep.
the dude was lighting it up, man, and it was nice to see, just from a sports fan perspective, but also nice if you had him on Sunday.
Yeah. No, and he was getting drafted later than he should have in fantasy football drafts. And
Yeah.
I guess the perspective was he's playing in a tough division. All the teams have a great secondary, right? Well, Seattle probably has the worst one, but they brought in Jamal Adams, and you got the 49ers, of course, and the Rams with Jalen Ramsey.
Sure.
We thought he would regress not being with Deshaun Watson. No, that is not the case. Kyler Murray, against a very good secondary, threw 16 fucking targets
Yeah.
in week 1. So I
Yeah.
like that call against Washington, the Washington football Schneiders. Yeah, by the way, how long does it take to pick a name? Like, can you imagine having a baby and not naming it for 4 months?
I think
You
I
have a
did it off just putting a bunch of names on a piece of paper, putting them in a hat, and drawing it out.
oh,
But it's
it's
my
the
opinion, terrible.
yeah, it's the dumbest thing ever, right? Like, come on, like let's get this out. Tyreek Hill is a guy I'm probably gonna fade. I think the Chargers have a good secondary.
Yeah.
Julio Jones against Dallas, 12 targets. Matt Ryan threw the ball a ton. And that shows you that Todd Gurley is not the everyday down back that people want him to be. It's not a shock to me. What do you think about Julio
That's
Jones against Dallas?
Well, that's something I kind of mentioned. I don't know, about a week or so ago. I felt like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones kind of got off the rails last year, and they weren't coming together for whatever reason. But I felt like it was good to see, and I felt like it was going to be a strong move to make this season to make sure they get off to a good start, and they were connecting and hooking up. So obviously a strong start for Atlanta, which
Yeah.
is really scary for the other teams in the NFC South.
Yeah. So if we quickly go through the wide receivers here so we don't spend more than a half an hour because people freak out when you do that.
Sure.
Are there any other matchups that you're looking at like, hey, this stands out to me for week 2? Like early on, this is someone I want to lock in.
I think CD Lamb it could be a cheap option this
I
week.
like that.
And he obviously is going to be a pivotal part of the offense there as a Cowboy, and they obviously targeted him several times. He's got the speed. This guy is gonna score some long touchdowns sometime this season. Just make sure you have him when it happens. Because this guy is explosive, and he's going to show that as the season continues on.
I really like that pick. And if I'm looking right now, just from a degenerate perspective, and I'm looking at snaps played, Brashad Perriman played every single offensive passing snap for the Jets. And they played a tough secondary in Buffalo. They're playing it again in San Francisco this week. 3,800 when you play. You were targeted 5 times, got a couple catches. You played every single offensive snap. I think a guy like Brashad Perriman for tournaments, if you're playing this millionaire maker shit, right? And so you're going against the grain and dumb shit happens when you play that. I think opportunity breeds points. 100 when you play every single passing down for a team that's going to be behind in every single game. A guy like Rashad Perriman at 3,800
Sure.
seems pretty smart to me. Anything else at wide receiver before I move over to Pink Eye?
Nope. Let's move on.
All right, let's move on to the tight end Pink Eye position. And I think there's actually some value to be had here. I don't think the lines have adjusted for a lot of the players. So what stands out for you early on at the tight end position?
Well, I guess early on would be John Juice Smith. I mean, the guy's number one for Tennessee now. He's cheap, on the cheaper side. Obviously, you're going to get a guy like Mark Andrews, who's going to be obviously, probably 1 to 2 the major target for Jackson. Obviously, showed that again Sunday. It's like teams got to know by now. Watch this guy, but they just keep letting him score. So they're going to pay up. But tight end's one of those positions you'd like to save at and kind of get the low risk, high reward.
Yeah, I like that. What else? Is there any other value at tight end? My screen is going so slow, so I'm going to rely on you to.
Sure, I'm kind of looking around to see if I kind of missed anything.
It's our first look, by the way. We have plenty of time to get shit
Sure.
wrong, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, obviously, we also looked at Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. I mean, how much that guy put it down on Sunday. I mean, you're looking at Ertz as the main guy, but obviously the Eagles are going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and Goddard is be just as good as Ertz is at this point. So he obviously was the guy making the plays on Sunday. I think that will fluctuate week to week, but
you'd rather pay down for Goddard than you would for Zach Ertz, right? And it doesn't mean that Zach Ertz doesn't have the upside. What about a team like the 49ers? George Kittle got hurt a little bit. I think he'll be just fine.
Sure.
Is a guy like Jordan Reed on the radar? Like, I hate saying that so much.
I don't know. I feel like he's just 1 tackle away from going out for like this. So
I totally agree.
I think you could flick him with your finger, and he'd probably go down for a concussion or something. So
yeah. So one thing that I'm looking at, and I was big on him, and I have to eat some crow for this because Matt Ryan threw the ball 50 times, 45 completions. Hayden Hurst was only targeted 5 times. And I think a lot of that was because Calvin Ridley was way more wide open than anyone expected him to be. I still think Hayden Hurst is a good value, right, at 4'6" and 4'7",
Sure.
5'7". Noah Fant had a great game, but Pittsburgh's defense, I think we saw that last night.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. So how about a guy like Hunter Henry for the Chargers? It looks like
Tyler heavily. That's not it's one of those plays where for me, I think I like it, but I think he's kind of pricey at tight end. I'd like to kind of pay down at tight end. And it's one of those things where he's kind of borderline. I think if you're going to play multiple lines, he's worth a shot. But I think if I'm going to play, majority of my lines will be somebody a little cheaper that I think I can get the same value out of.
Okay, let me hear the cheap plays at tight end because I want to hear them. I need to know.
I'm looking at Dallas Goedert was a good pick. He's only 5,500 on Fanduel this week.
Yep.
He's a good play this week as well. I'm looking down the list here. Who I really think since you're following the Mitchell Trubisky train, I really think Cole Kmet's going to come on at some point this season.
Yep.
This guy came out of he's huge. He's 6'6". He runs like a four something. The guy's a massive target. At some point this season, that guy's going to come on. That could be this week.
Yeah.
And he's cheap. I mean, at some point he only got 1 target, I think Sunday, but but I think he's going to come on at some point this season.
I like that, and let's talk about a couple, lower price tight ends. What about the Dallas Cowboys lost Blake Jarwin to injury?
Yeah.
So now it's a guy like Dalton Schultz and Blake Bell. Can we take a stream on them, or
I think absolutely. I think Schultz is If I'm not mistaken, he had some big plays last season, and this guy will come on Dallas is kind of like one of those teams that always have these silent killers at tight end. You kind of saw that with Blake Jarwin last season. When he had Witten all that time,
Yeah.
it's kind of like Witten held these guys back. But now that these guys are getting playing time, you'd see those guys come in when Witten would go down or something like that, and these guys would just always explode on the field. Two catches for 30 yards, 40 yards. They'd always be out there making plays. Don't be surprised. I think Schultz is an excellent value play this week.
Yeah. And what about another guy? Arizona last year was the worst team in history against tight ends, right? And they had a
Absolutely.
good game last week. And I know George Kittle got hurt and Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look great.
Yeah,
What about a guy like Logan Thomas for the Washington Football Schneiders?
sure.
Against Arizona, 3-6 Draftkings, 4-7 Fanduel, played 74% of the snaps.
I like it.
So what about a guy like Logan Thomas? I think we covered everything tight end wise.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Irv Smith Jr., Cole Kmet, I think is a very nice sleeper down at 28. I know Jimmy Graham got the targets last week, but eventually Jimmy Graham's going to get hurt. He's going to suck.
As soon as this guy, I'm telling you, as soon as this guy commit gets in and gets some playing time and makes some plays, that may be the end of Jimmy Graham
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah, I like all that. And let's go to defenses now. So we'll do this very briefly. I mean, obviously, the 49ers against the Jets and the Lego policeman, Sam
Sure.
Darnold. Like, that's silly. Of course, we already know the Bills against the Dolphins. We talked about this on the show last week. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick can explode. Are there any value defenses when you're making your cash game lineups, right? Where are those value defenses?
Well, you got the Chargers at 2 grand or 2K. Um, they have a good defense. They may not have had a very good week one, but I think obviously coming down the stretch here that
Yeah.
nobody had a preseason. So I mean the teams are going to stumble a little bit in the beginning, but once these teams start to piece it together a little bit, some of these better teams are going to start to outperform their prices. So. I wouldn't. It's week one. These teams are going to lick their wounds and get themselves back together.
Yeah, I mean they only get up 13 points to the Bengals, and we expected
Yeah,
that. And I was
sure.
a little bit disappointed, honestly. I think a lot of that was just the offense was so bad with
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor, right?
yeah, right.
That's just the problem. And defense is one of those positions, especially when you're playing DFS, right? Like I'm just trying to get 5 or 6 or 7 points so I can pay up elsewhere. Are there any defenses where you're like, hey, this team could get a pick six? They can score me 25 points like the Patriots last year.
I've kind of looked at that. I think the Chiefs' defense is underrated. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a team. Obviously, I think they could do something this week. And then looking at other teams here, obviously the Ravens are always one of those teams that are explosive on both sides of the ball. And then one of my favorites always, not a favorite of a lot of people, but the Bills are always going to be a good defense. And Sean McDermott came out of,
Yeah.
being head coach. I knew what kind of coach they were going to get, and he's built that team defensive minded. So
Yeah. No, I actually totally agree. I actually like the 49ers a little bit against the Jets. I'm a homer on that, so I'm trying to take
you're a
my
little bit
emotions.
biased, right?
But I mean, Sam Darnold's so bad, and again, they're not facing the weakness of the 49ers defense is playing against mobile quarterbacks who take away that pass rush.
Right.
Sam Darnold's going to be a sitting duck. Our Lego fireman, who we love our firemen, we love our cops, of course. But I think the 49ers can score some points. I like that Bills call because you never know when Ryan Fitzpatrick is
I mean,
going
that
to
guy can go
implode.
out there and throw,
I got the hiccups in the middle of the show.
he could throw 5 interceptions. It's just whatever Fitzpatrick's going to get that week. So,
Exactly. I think that's everything. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
oh man, happy to be a part of the show, and thanks for having me.
This was really fun for me. Again, all I'll have all the links to all the shows. So check out that video description. Jackpot DFS, who I know it sounds weird. I'm telling you, this guy wins all the time. We've been friends for years and years. He knows how to play DFS. Very honest guy. Knows what he's doing. A lot of fun. So make sure you check out that channel. Make sure you check out Overlay DFS. Make sure you see us live on Thursdays, Sundays, Tuesdays. All that at SBR. Don't forget to check out my guys over at Tax Relief Advocates, sponsoring the $50 PayPal giveaway. To be a part of that, like the channel, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section. That number again is at the beginning of the show, 1-800-411 something or other. I forget. This is a lot of fun. Doug, thank you so much for being here. We're gonna do this every week. This is how we're gonna line up our first look. And good luck to everyone. Thank you so much for all your support. And we'll see you tomorrow for our Thursday Night Football video. Bye, folks.